Hey there, sweetness, how goes it? I think it goes well. Quick name of the game. If there's anything that's connective to this collective that's beautiful, I invite you to take that shit with you. If, however, nothing here resonates, that's alright. You just leave it right where you fucking found it. It's probably a piece of information that was meant for somebody else in the collective, and you should never take something off the table, or in general, that does not belong to you. Keep in mind that time may be fluid as well as energy, and let's get into it, shall we? Yes, we fucking shall. What are we getting into? A collective reading, 2 cents. If you guys didn't catch the community post, I received some downloads about doing a 2 cents reading. I am slacking on our opening prayer. Spirit of love, truth, grace, and guidance. Please guide myself, guide these messages, guide this collective, guide us always and in all ways. Thank you. All right, welcome home, homies. Please do the tribe a favor. Make sure you're getting those likes up on your way into the videos. Thank you for those who already have. And yes, 2 cents. There's so much energy surrounding this that I am going to do my very best to get it out the best I can. First and foremost, this is where we start. I am connected with my higher self. This is really important as a jump-off point for this reading, because we're going to be talking about narcissism, the true narcissist and the true empath. There's a lot about, like a moth to the flame, they find each other. We have card 81. I'm going to get some shanty numbers on that in just a second. So, first I'll say, I did a live the other night, or a reading the other night, where the elephant wanted to pop out and come say hi. The scenery changes often around here. The elephant doesn't make an appearance often, but it came to hang out in the background, and then boom, the collective had a card with the elephant, and the description of the card was talking about the elephant. That resonation right there was important. Well, at the same time as the elephant wanted to make an appearance, 2 pennies wanted to find their way onto the altar. They didn't feel quite as important, but they felt like they were going to be. So, we got out the reading about the elephant in the room. That was a really good reading. If you guys didn't catch it, you should. Excuse me. And then it hit me right after that reading what the 2 cents, or that there was going to be a reading about 2 cents. It was a 2 cents reading. And as soon as that came to me, more information started channeling in. First, we're going to start by getting some numbers. I already told you guys I would, because I just keep getting ahead of myself. There's so much grit to this reading. I really hope you're prepared to sit down for a while. I'm out on the chilly porch, but I got my blanket, my warm coffee, my bowl, and I'm ready to get the messages out. So I hope you're ready to hear them. Also, ready to do some studying. Got my phone handy just to look things up if we need. Okay. 81. something seemed friendly, and so someone, at least an aspect of someone, maybe an aspect of everyone. Trigger warning here, okay? Trigger warning to this video. Narcissistic abuse. It's like a ring of fire. Trigger warning. All right. Some aspect of the narcissist, and this is, I feel, mirrored energy all the way. Some aspect of the narcissist seemed wise and seemed safe, and so the empath invited the narcissist in, allowed the moth into the light. And whatever this is, it's about the empath being allowed to see the narcissist. And not because some egoic narc let them see, but because spirit let them see. Card 81 speaks of invitations and something seeming wise. So, when I had seen, this all wraps up nicely into each other, prayerfully. We just got to get there. But when I had seen the 2 cents, and it came to me, oh, well, 2 cents reading. Honestly, my thoughts were a little bit in Karmicville. I was thinking, oh, well, you know, people put their 2 cents in, and we're going to do a 2 cents reading on people's 2 cents and what are 2 cents. I'm not even sure, you know, I was like, the 2 cents. And then I looked up the definition. That was where I began. Who coined the term 2 cents? Oh, hey, darling, how are you? I'm thankful you did. So when I look up the meaning of 2 cents, the first thing you find is it's something of insignificant value, unsolicited advice. And then we got the Hindi definition. Because the Hindis have the same understanding of 2 cents. Okay? My 2 cents. Mere 2 cents. That just felt cool to add in there, I guess. But then it was on the unsolicited advice part that everything really channeled in for this reading, you guys. Awesome. Doing very well, thank you. Unsolicited advice is a strong point for the true narcissist. Here. So, something that the narcissist, true narcissist, I shudder to use that word because it's used so often and also misused so often. But the narcissist is constantly giving out unsolicited advice, most especially to the empath. So, say the empath or anyone is going to sit down and eat a meal with a group of people, group of friends, group of others, because maybe not everyone is a friend. All of a sudden, one of these people, one of these others, pipes up and says to this empathic person, they say, geez, I don't know why you put so much butter on your potatoes. I'd have a heart attack if I did that to myself. When literally the empathic person number one, we're going to say Jane, all right? When Jane goes to just put the amount of butter on her own potato that she likes to taste on her potato, then Carl says, geez, Jane, I don't know how you can eat like that. That would really mess me up. That's unsolicited advice. Jane didn't ask. Jane was just trying to fortify her body with something that she found delicious. And maybe she did use too much butter. She'll have to deal with that later. And then Carl goes a step further when he sees that Jane has this look of kind of guilt and shame almost. And he's, well, I just worry about your health, Jane. I just worry about your physique, your summer body. Why? Worry about your own summer bod, Carl. But Carl's a narcissist, and Carl has to put his unsolicited advice in, his 2 cents in, anywhere he can fit it. There's a caution to stay away as much as possible from those sorts of energies, because it's not healthy. Stay away from Carl. Oh my goodness. Oh, goodness gracious. Well, I'm just using a name as an example, but we take from life what we can. Anyhow, so Carl, puts in his 2 cents. That also brings me to two faces. The 2 faces of a narcissist is a term, but it's very, very real. So I've met and lived with and fallen madly in love with someone that was absolutely diagnosed by a neuropathic surgeon, a neuropathic psychiatrist with narcissistic personality disorder, hand in hand with antisocial personality disorder. And when this person was diagnosed, I was warned by their doctor that pretty well the only individuals on file, under documentation, to have both of those coexisting disorders, dual diagnosis, the only people with those 2 were serial killers, like the big time ones. I'm not sure if it was like Ted Bundy or what it was. Thank you. So, yeah, this is just what I was guided to talk about tonight and research, all starting with 2 pennies sitting on a table. Also, when I saw them sitting there, I had thought, pennies from heaven. I can't remember what that was, if it was like a little poem or a little song or something, but Pennies from Heaven was the thing. Anyhow, so the two faces of the narcissist. This person, for this reading's sake, I'm going to call them Dan. Dan, the person that I was attached to, that was a narcissist. When I first met Dan, I would literally look at him and sometimes see this light shining, just beauty, magnificent. All I could think was I'd never known anything like the light of this man. And then all in the same moment sometimes, I would look and he would have this evil, dark, all-consuming look that just chilled me to the core. And he didn't even have to be doing anything or saying anything. You could just see the light that attracted me like a moth to the flame die in his eyes, and some sort of soul-consuming fire take its place. And then every word from there was a striking blow, not just to my ego, but my self-worth. And not to my ego at all, but to my self-worth. And actually, yes, to my ego, the ego that was there to keep me safe. And so I had actually said that to Dan once. I said, you seem, I had made a joke about Scarface, because that's one of his favorite movies. I was like, I find that funny because, you know, sometimes I just see you as having two faces. And that did not blow over very well. I was very young in this relationship. I was 17 years old, I believe, when I entered it. So well over a decade ago. And I'd never even heard the word narcissist before in my life. So when all of this was presented to me, I just was like, yeah, stunned a bit. Anyhow, we're going to, like I said, I had my phone around to do a little research. We're going to do that now. So, the gray rock and jade, those are on the altar and have been for a couple of days. Cheers. There's a gray rock, which is actually fossil, and a piece of jade. And when I started looking up, I can't remember what it was that I had put in. I think I put in the two faces of the narcissist, because that was something that, like I said, I actually, after later on down the line, someone had mentioned, or I think I maybe had read that in a book. Why does he do that? Maybe. But it was talking about the two faces of the narcissist, and it hit me like a ton of bricks when I read it. And I was like, whoa, I've seen those two faces. That is ironic. Oh my goodness. So, I went to go look up the two faces of the narcissist. That was where I went. And then it brought me to the jade technique when it comes to narcissism. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to go ahead and look into this. It's what I said in my community post was that Spirit's been having me gather all kinds of information for this. I actually didn't know anything about the jade technique or what gray rocking is, but because there's jade on this altar and a gray rock, I was like, all right, we're going to go ahead and dive into this and see what it is. And so I'm going to go ahead and get those descriptions out for this reading. So, grandiose and vulnerable narcissism. Both the vulnerability, sensitive, and this is just, I Googled it and I'm going to read a bunch of the things right off the top of, right off the top. Both the vulnerability, sensitivity, and grandiosity. So the vulnerable, sensitive, admiration seeking, seeming like they have it all together, that side, and then the other side where they can't keep the mask up anymore and it's all about conceit and self-indulgence. Exhibition. Excuse me. Something about, I'm going to gloss over real quick, do a little bit of bibliomancy, see what Spirit wants us to see from here. Narcissistic parents try to fill their emotional void through their children. Keep that in mind. Be careful of those sorts of energies. If you find that you've been in a relationship with a narcissist before and you find yourself thinking about them, wondering if they're thinking about you, especially if you're on YouTube looking up, trying to find out what it is that they're thinking about, and are they thinking about you? Well, yes, they are. Yep, they're thinking about you after the discard, especially when you're doing well for yourself. Why? Because they hate that you're doing well for yourself. It pisses them off and they want to knock you back off your game. We've had so much in the readings lately about not allowing distractions. And even when they come, not allowing them to undertake us and our actions, our steps, our path forward. Period. Let that be reinforced right here, right now. All right. We're going to move on to the jade technique. I feel like maybe the jade technique, and I'm not saying that these are perfect. I'm not saying that all I'm saying is I'm guided to talk about them. Maybe someone needs to know about them, look into them. They may be something, helpful. Maybe not. So I say, take it or leave it. So using this jade technique helps you to keep you emotionally balanced. Don't justify, argue, defend, or explain. If you're trapped in a conversation, in a situation with a narcissist, don't justify, don't argue, don't defend, or don't explain. State your opinion once and only once. It's a game-changing technique. Oh, it is part of the Al-Anon 12-step slogan. If you do justify, argue, defend, give an explanation, people who are bullies or narcissists will try to use it against you. Okay? So if you want to look into that further, you're absolutely invited to do so. And gray rocking. I think that one was literally just saying the the least amount possible. Gray rocking is one of many techniques that people use to protect themselves from abuse. This is medicalnewstoday.com. It involves becoming as uninteresting as possible to the abusive person. This may require a person to hide their feelings, avoid revealing personal information, and minimize contact. It's a technique, this moving on from that article onto parts of, little bits and pieces of other ones here. Gray rocking is a technique used to divert a toxic person's behavior. Here's this cute little self-love rainbow. A strategy based on disengaging with manipulative and abusive people. It won't work in every situation. No best method. But have to, if you find yourself there, be brief. This is all it says is self-love rainbow. I don't know if you guys can see that well. I'm going to read the blurbs. Practicing self-love and boundaries and connection to your highest self is important in my book. Be brief when you answer any questions. Say yes, no, I don't know, Be factual, concise, and impersonal. Nod or shrug. Keep busy during your interactions. Don't give them any details about your life. Don't feed into their drama. Avoid responding with any emotion. Be as boring, uninteresting, and non-responsive as possible. I have absolutely employed this method with a true diagnosed narcissist, and it helps when you have no choice but to be in that situation. And I know everybody says there's always a choice. Sometimes there isn't a better choice. Sometimes. But there's a better choice than letting them devalue you or treat you as though you're insignificant, or treat you the opposite just so that they can get something from you that they need to feed on. Yeah. Really, really heavy. My love and my prayers to any and all victims of narc abuse. I'm going to grab some oracle messages before we close out. Absolutely. Thank you. Be receptive to the subtle messages from nature as you go about your day. Nature talks to us continually. We need only open our hearts and minds. Come together. Fairies like to be busy, and a group of them is showing you that many hands make light work. Working as a team helps get the job done. Teamwork makes the dream work. Journey. It's time to prepare for a journey. It may be impromptu or planned. Either way, make sure you're ready when the time comes. Pack your passport now. Don't be afraid of your journey.